As some of you know, my wife raises show quality New Zealand and American chinchilla rabbits, and we've had some bad news recently. There's been an outbreak of RHD, which is rabbit hemorrhagic disease. It's like Ebola for rabbits. There's an outbreak within 50 miles of us. It's going to affect our rabbitry in the fact that we can't go to shows, we can't sell rabbits out of our immediate area. It's going to have a pretty good impact on us for a while. If it actually spreads into our rabbitry, it'll be even more devastating. The problem with this disease is it lives in the environment for 90 days and can be carried by coyotes and buzzards, spread around. So it's actually jumped into the endemic population. Our wild rabbits have it or can get it. So this is going to put a little bit of strain on our rabbitry and the sales of rabbits. So I'm hoping maybe the bees will step up and help pick up a little of that slack. It's going to be rough to see. So if any of you are raising rabbits and interested in more of the disease and what it entails, on our farm page, Sleepy Creek Farm YouTube channel, my wife is giving updates on it and some of the biosecurity measures that we're going to put in place to try to keep it out of our rabbitry. So anybody interested in that can follow us there. Well, I ran and picked up another load of used equipment. So there's a beekeeper here. Oh, he's about 40 minutes from me, and he's going through some of his old equipment, getting ready to move out of the area and trying to figure out what he's taking, what he's not taking, and consolidate, get to where he has all the same equipment now. So I bought some stuff from him before this load. I'm going to trade him out a couple of nukes, as he only had one colony make it through the winter, and he wants to have about 3 of them going. So he's had a couple swarm traps, some good boxes. They're full of frames. There's a whole bunch of plastic frames in there. He's got feeder covers designed to put jars on. There's a whole box of feeder parts for the front feeders, and I'll go through a lot of this equipment and probably get it set up to sell to some of these new beekeepers so they can get started. I'm not a big fan of the front feeders because of what I do with my colonies. I keep them split down pretty weak, and I just think that increases the robbing of a weak colony to have the feed right out on the front step like that, where everybody can smell it and get to it. A stronger colony, they're fine. You close down their entrance and stuff, they're fine. But the way that I keep and run a lot of weak colonies, I have to really watch the robbing. So anyway, I got to start unloading this and getting it on pallets and figuring out what all it is and get on with my day. I'm getting ready to go out and feed the bees, and I'm going to put pollen patties on them. So they've got some emergency feed if the weather turns bad. We got a great day today, but we're not going to stay that way. So it's basically an insurance policy, because I'm trying to get them to grow as much brood as they can. If they get locked in because we've got 45 degrees and rain and blow, I don't want the larvae that they're feeding to be lacking in food. I want them to have a source inside the hive. So it's an insurance policy is what it is. If they don't touch it because they get real pollen coming in, I'll throw it out, not a problem. But I'd put them in the freezer, so I've got them on the bed of the pickup trying to warm them up before I put them in, because that's not going to be conducive to happy bees if I put frozen patties on their heads. So I'm also making some syrup so I can fill their feeders. We've got some things blooming here. Some maples are popping, plums are blooming, but there's not a lot. So I made a batch of syrup up, and the way that I do mine is in this kettle. It's an old keg cut down. It's what I brew beer in, except I don't seem to get time to brew beer anymore because I'm too busy making syrup for the bees. But I put 5 gallons in and I heat the water up. You don't want any more heat than you need into the sugar. You don't want to scorch it by any means. So what I like to do is heat the water, get it up to just about boiling, and then I'll add my sugar. And when I do it, I will put 2 50-pound sacks into that 5 gallons, and that gives me just a little better than 2 to 1, I believe. And then the reason I do that is it keeps better. Then I water it down when I go to feed it. So this is the first year that I've tried any Honeybee Healthy. I bought a bottle of it to put in the patties and thought, what the heck, and poured the rest of it into the feed. I also bought a bottle of Pro Health. So this next batch, I'll put that in it. I believe they're really similar products. I haven't done a lot of research on them. I'm going to take a quick look here. The Honeybee Healthy wants 4 to 6 teaspoons to a gallon, and we've got 4 teaspoons to the gallon in the Pro Health. So they're fairly comparable in usage. I don't remember what the difference in cost was on them. I ordered the Pro Health through Man Lake, and then when I was down at my friend's and we went to the Dadant store, or Dadant, or however they say that, they had a Honeybee Healthy on the shelf, so I just grabbed some. So like here, when I just made this batch up and it was hot and I want to feed right away, that's the one advantage to thinning it down, is I thin it with cold water and then I'm ready to feed right away. But I'll start this new batch of water, then I'll put my sugar in it, get it to dissolve, fill my cans up again, and it'll be ready for the next feeding. So while I'm on it and doing it, I'll burn up a whole bunch of the sugar I just bought. So, all right, well, we're gonna get out and go through the bees here in a bit, and I'll get some shots in the colonies and see what they're doing. We'll take a look at the graphs I made, and we'll look in on the ones that we shoved down in the bottom box and see if she's working in there or if she crawled out and went upstairs. Well, there's a yellow jacket queen that I found buzzing around my hives and smashed her. The fellow I picked up the equipment from today actually saves those, makes a tincture that he puts in his traps, and he says it really helps the trap function a little better. So this is our cell builder. We'll go in here and see how things look. And get them some more food. They've drank most of their syrup. Which is good, that's what I want them doing. Drink it up. They're working on the patty a little bit, not too much. Let's see how I can get this thing stood up here, not fall in the drink maybe. And we'll pull our graft frame out and see how it looks. Well, it looks pretty good. Look at those, beautiful. There's one they didn't do, but they're cleaning it up so I can do it again. There's some they haven't quite capped, but looks like I got a pretty good take on the top bar. Always wanted to kind of mark them. Sometimes you do one and you're like, I'm not sure I got anything in there. I scrambled it, and, you know, to be able to come back later and say, oh, it took anyway. Maybe I didn't do it quite so bad. But there are some really nice ones. They've built some really pretty, big, and it looks like there's lots of jelly in them. So that's what you need. And the more attention they put on those, the better queens you end up with. They just do more decorating on the ones that they put more energy and care into. So anyway, those are looking pretty good. So this is the colony that I split to put the queen into the mini mating nukes. I'm not sure that project was any success at all, but on the bottom of this frame here are all kinds of queen cells. Now I'm not sure if I'm getting them in the camera or not, but there's I don't know how many are on the bottom here, 10, 12. Most of them have jelly in them. They decided to go gangbusters to work on making another queen. So that's kind of cool. Get them a chance to get those capped, since that's what we're trying to do. And when I find them on a frame, I mark it so I can be very careful when I pull that one out to make sure that I move it away from the other frames and lift up, so that I don't tear open the cells on that side. If I don't have a mark on it and I don't remember, and you start pulling them up and you rip the queen cells in half, and that queens don't do so well when you do that to them. That's just a honey frame. So we'll go ahead and put it all back together here. And the problem when they get them on the bottom like that, sometimes they'll run them right down into the bottom of the box, and you'll break them when you go to lift it up, because they're attached down there in some form, and that's a bummer. But this is the colony I thought I'd put my dome on. Just for fun. Well, that didn't work. The box is a little different shape here. Taking a little work to get it to set down on it right. And all the way over where it's supposed to go. I don't know, it's not going down very well. Let's turn it over, see if it does a better job. That seals it up better. So we've got these little metal wings on here that have them on there for my mouse guards, the entrance reducers. And they're handy when you're doing that, but they're a pain if you're doing anything else with the box. So, not sure what I'm going to do to fix that problem. All right, I'll go back to feeding syrup.